How's it going, everybody? This is the RC bench, and I just wanted to make a quick video to go over my Element Enduro V2 builder's kit that I just put together. It's pretty much done, other than there's going to be a few modifications I want to do, and I don't have a pinion gear yet. I was Some people said it didn't come with it. Some people said it maybe implied that it did. I don't know. It did not come with one. So I have a set coming. 48 pitch pinion gears coming. Should be here next week, early next week sometime. So basically, I'm running the higher overdrive in the transmission, the 11.6, I think it is. I'm running a Radon Reedy 16 turn 5 slot motor, open end bell, so you can service it. And I probably will be making some modifications to this, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. I'll just continue going through the electronics. I'm running the ISDT 70 amp ESC, the GT5 radio, and the FS BS6 receiver, along with a blue case 35 kilogram steel gear servo. I do have the suspension down pretty much as low as it will go. I did move the panhard mount up to, and so the steering link and the panhard bar angles are fairly parallel. You can see that with a little bit of, they're not perfect, but they're okay. So yeah, so if you can see, I do have the panhard mount all the way up, so this can sit lower without, and still maintain the proper angle. What else? So the rear suspension I changed. I actually running the Ecto Zool configuration, the one that works with the trailing arm suspension, so I could get some angle on these shocks and drop the rear end down a little bit. It sat a little bit higher than the front in the stock form, so I just had to put a couple spacers on top, spacers on the bottom, and we'll get a pointer here. These are probably 8mm, and these look to be about 5 or 6mm spacers, and that keeps the shock spring away from the body, the shock hoop. So yeah, you can see that angle, and I think it gives it a little bit more articulation than stock, which is what I want. Plus, I can't show you unless I switch the video, but it seems pretty flat. It might sit a little bit lower in the back, just a hair, but we'll run that the way it is. I do need to figure out a bumper. I do have a body coming. It's the J Concepts F250 Ford 1989, and that's got the narrowed dovetailed and the dove-nosed configuration, so I have to figure out body mounts. It says it's compatible with the Element Enduro, but body mounts may be a little bit different in the back than what is expected. Other than that, I believe I'm going to have to redo. I may not use this receiver box, but because I'm going to narrow these rocker panel rocker guards down, because they're real wide, and I don't think they're going to fit the body properly, as well as they're a little bit rough on the bottom. So I could probably do something similar to what's on the market and just design it and print it myself. Do some both sides with a little bit of angles to keep it from getting stuck. Other than that, the kit was pretty good to build. I did make one mistake with the gears in the rear diff. Thankfully, I didn't screw up the front diff. That was turning in the right direction, but the rear diff was turning the opposite direction. So easier to pull the rear diff apart, flip the ring gear around, fix that. Would have been a little bit more of a pain on the front. I would have had to take the knuckles apart. But other than that, there were the screw bags. I ran into one other issue with just having the right length screws according to the manual. There was some, certain spots where they called for 10 millimeters, and I only had 8 millimeters. It just seemed like there was a little bit of a sloppy sorting job when they put some of the screw bags together. Luckily, all the specialty hardware and parts and screws that were odd sizes were here, like 2.5 millimeter. I think there's some 2.5 millimeter screws in a couple locations, like the suspension arm mounts, the diff cover mounts. I believe they're not 3 millimeters, so those were all good. I didn't really run into any big issues. Putting the arms together, that was probably the worst part of this whole build. And I just reminded myself, basically the trunnion shaft that holds the output drive gears, fitting the bearings into those flanges. One of them was fairly tight, and I had to put it on my little mini lathe with some Scotch-Brite and kind of just hone out where the bearing sits so it would slide in. I could have pressed it in with the vise. Didn't want to do that because I don't think you'd ever get it out unless you heated the thing with the torch. Didn't want to get into that. So yeah, so there were a few little things here and there. Nothing I don't think people couldn't figure out on their own. I've never heard of the issue with the bearing fit. And I've never seen any issue. People call out an issue with the screws not being the right lengths, but I did hear the manual when you're building the links. The manual doesn't seem to be to one-to-one scale, and I did notice it is difficult to see certain aspects of the diagrams in the manual. And people say that typically you would build a link, you could lay it down on the manual to show you the length, and you could just eyeball it to what's shown. That doesn't work, so you do have to measure them manually. And so basically what I think happened was they did this manual, they created it, and then I think the whole thing got scaled down to fit in a standard format booklet, because I think it was intended to be bigger, because I mean, this is, you're not going to be able to see this, but let's just see. Turn my light off. That's better. A little better. I mean, it's small. It's tough to see the details on this, especially with this bad lighting I have. So let's get rid of that. I think it should have come with the pinion gear. It did come with shock oil and grease. It didn't come with black grease. It came with some sort of greenish tinted grease, which I used everywhere on the links, putting those together, and also greasing up all the gears. In general, I think the overall kit is nice. I'm surprised they didn't bias the transmission forward more. Perhaps there wasn't enough room and they wanted to keep it down lower. But it's decent as it is, and obviously there's some other transmission options that Associated offer, and then there's some other aftermarket tweaks you can do to kind of reorient this thing. I think I'm going to keep it stock. I'm going to run it as is and see how it goes, because like I said, this is the first frame, like kind of like standard frame truck. It looks like a stock truck, besides my HP, what is it, the Bruiser clone. I'm not going to try to remember the name of it, but that's a very delicate truck, not really designed for hard off-roading, crawling applications, but this should be a lot tougher. Anyway, I just want to put this out there, make sure my sound is better. I do have that microphone over there. I am still using Windows camera tool, so thanks for watching. See you next time.